Good morning, citizens. We are here at the Parliament building to talk about the Geological and Minerals Development Bill of 2024. This bill is a part of the Mines and Minerals Development Act, which has been repealed and split into two. So the earlier bill, which is the Minerals Regulations Commission's bill, which is an act of Parliament now, was passed a couple of months ago. And now we are considering the Geological and Minerals Development Bill. Of course, a number of concerns have been raised in these bills, even the earlier bill. Those that were following the debates on the floor of the House will agree that it raised a number of concerns. This is because of the happenings in the mining sector. It was hoped that the new amendments to these laws would at least firstly improve the way that the mines are operating. We've seen a number of developments in the recent past, especially on the copper belt, to do with contractors, mine suppliers, among others. To discuss in detail, we have our chairperson for mines, who is Honorable Pafuma Kalogo, a member of Parliament for Wusakile, who is going to delve in greater detail, being the Honorable member who had raised a number of amendments to these bills, as it were. So the purpose of this discussion today is to raise awareness amongst the citizens, most especially the contractors at the mines, the workers at the mines, and indeed the nation at large, so that we understand fully what really is at stake, even as we enact these laws. Honorable Pafuma, you can speak to the nation.
Thank you very much, Head of Opposition. Let me also greet those people following us online, those people who are following us on radios. Good morning. Like stated by my leader, we are here this morning to speak to the geological bill, which will be tabled before Parliament this afternoon. But just to give you a brief background, previously there was a repeal of the Mines and Mineral Development Act number 11 of 2015, and after repeal, the UPND government sought of coming up with fragmented laws. So from the Mines and Mineral Development Act, they developed the Mineral Regulation Bill, which was passed into law and is effective. And they excluded things like the local content, which gives the preference to our local people in terms of the contracts and supply jobs. Also, it was a clause which was demanding that these mining multinationals employ Zambians, also their capacity build them. They excluded it. And there was a promise from the Minister of Mines. He was bragging that wait for the strategic government, the UPND, everything that has been left out will be covered in the geological bill, which will be considered this afternoon. And it came for second reading. Again, a lot of issues were not taken on board. In terms of the local content, yes, it has been taken, but they've included a component where they are saying by statutory instrument, minister may prescribe the threshold. When you just look at that, because previously it was never there, that part was never there. So the implication is that we are legislating corruption. Because corruption is not mere exchange of money or giving money. It's even by registration. So we are legislating corruption. So suppose we are not saying the minister is corrupt, the current minister, no, we are not saying he's corrupt. Suppose they appoint another minister who will be corrupt, then the mining multinationals promise him, say they will open you an account in Panama, just give them a 10%. What are you going to do? because it should not be a blank check to a minister where he has all the power to decide what should be the threshold for the local content in terms of the coal mining activities and non-coal mining activities. So what we are calling for is that there should be a threshold. For example, for non-coal mining activities, they can even give 100% or 80% where you cannot go below, because that is just a sweeping. How do you award a sweeping contract to a foreigner? Those jobs should be preserved for Zambians. Then in terms of coal mining activities, we should put even 30% or 40%. That is a threshold where he cannot go below. That is an administrative control. The constitution of the land is the one which establishes institutional governance. Even all the positions are established by the constitution. It also prescribes the boundary beyond which a person cannot go beyond. It's the constitution. So all we are saying is, let's put an administrative control, a threshold where a minister cannot go beyond. It is common knowledge everywhere that these mining multinations are too corrupt. There's too much corruption going on. So they may corrupt, they don't want. And why they are rigid is very simple. They are known for externalization of resources. They don't want any single resource to remain behind. So once the UPND government puts a threshold there, or even mitigate externalization of resources, why are they so rigid to allow our people benefit from the contracts? Why are they so rigid? Why are they so rigid? Are they telling us that they are pro investors who are foreigners? We want pro-poor policies. We want pro-poor laws that will benefit our people. That is our demand. So, what is in that window, in this geological bill, is not supporting Zambians. Another example that I may give you, arising from the geological surveys that will be undertaken, those families or land owners who will be affected. Again, they've given a blank check to the minister. They are saying, minister shall prescribe. We wanted this bill to spell out a framework and the criteria, including the timing of compensation. But they've just said, minister shall prescribe. Why give a blank check? Another registration of corruption. Why are we doing that? So, what is happening now? Because when we were looking at the mineral regulation bill, the first bill which was brought on the floor, when they excluded the local content, we told the minister, these bills should have been brought at the same time. You are going to create a vacuum where these mining multinationals may misbehave. He refused. He said, you will not create a vacuum. What is happening now in these mining companies, especially Mopan? They are cancelling contracts. Any contract that ends, they are giving Indians. Indians have taken all the contracts. Now what they've done now, they've even gone to the workers, those who are in senior management. They've brought one individual, they've brought 2 Indians. They are learning how to do the job. And once their contract expires, they will not renew them. Indians are going to take their jobs. That is what is happening now. And this undertaking is happening at a period where now we don't have a law for local preference. So in an event that, maybe we take it that UPN, they are genuine. In an event that they want to sanction such a mining company, which law are they going to use? Because this has happened at a time when there is no law. And after registration, law does not operate in retrospective. So this type of negligence is not needed. It's reckless way of doing things. It's unpatriotic. We want the UPND governments to be patriotic let them look at their people. Yes, one may say, even for the same local content on the threshold, I'm telling you, this report, the committee report where it went to, the Committee on National Economy, they captured this. And this thing passed in Parliament anonymously. Even the executive agreed to it. But again, they've veered their way from what is in the report. How do we even trust them? Opening the main law, the constitution. They want to open the constitution. How do we trust them? Because in such simple things, they can veer away from the agreements. How can we trust them? So let them show us that they can be trusted by sticking to the agreements, because they were part of, they also agreed to this report in Parliament. Yes, looking at the standing orders, one may say the report is not binding, but their social contract with the people is binding.
Exactly.
Is binding. So if they mean well for the people of Zambia, we want them to look at the plight of our suppliers and contractors in the mining sector. They are telling us here in Lusaka that they have paid all contractors. Let them parade those who have paid. Because I'm coming from the copper belt. People are crying. They've not been paid. When Mopani was under Grenco, payments were being given 3 times, per 15, per 5, and per 29. So how do we bring an investor who's wasting? Because we were supposed to bring an investor who is better than Mopani. Jobs were going to Zambians. This time, all jobs are going to the Indians, including transportation has gone to the Indians. So it's a talk show when they speak here in Lusaka that people are being paid, contracts are going to the Zambian people. They've brought an investor who's looking at the plight of our Zambians. That is a lie. Go to the copper belt. And I want to tell the Minister of Mines, let him desist from giving such wrong information to the nation. Minister, go there, people will react at an appropriate time. Go back, you are coming from the copper belt, your constituency is in the mining township, Minister of Mines. So you know exactly what is obtaining on the ground. What is in the copper belt, if you a supplier, a contractor, is worse. They've never experienced that. If you panic, especially Mopani, KCM, I told you people that investor you want to bring back to KCM is a broken investor. You didn't want to listen. You have brought an investor. What is a promise and not? We are still in a promise and not. There is no impact. Leader of opposition, no impact at the investor. Impact serious externalization. In the midst of them enjoying incentives, there is no benefit in ISA. And when you look at these 2 bills, Honorable Leader, there is careless use of words. They are using words like they want to achieve optimal utilization of resources. They are looking at value addition. They are looking at citizen participation.
That's what tricksters do.
Yes.
Tricksters always use words.
You see, these words have been carelessly misused. How do you achieve citizen participation minus the bill demanding for listing these mining companies on the stock exchange so that citizens can participate? How can you achieve? Because without ZDA attracting FDI investors who will bring in foreign direct investment, how can you achieve that? Their policy, Honorable Leader, is to increase production to 3 million metric tons, which I call an empty policy, because it does not tell us after achieving that 3 million metric tons what is the benefit in terms of employment. Yes. What is the benefit in terms of the revenue on the treasury? What is the benefit in terms of funding our development? All those details, they don't exist on that policy. Again, it's not a new policy that has been undertaken. In 2000, after privatization, our production stood at 2,257,000 metric tons per annum. That policy was undertaken to increase production, and it was increased to 750,000 metric tons. We never balanced our budget. We never funded our development using the mineral wealth. We never achieved employment. We only lost employment. Practical example, KCM employment at that time, when they were taking over, it was 22,000 employees, both direct and indirect. At a time when the PF government was grabbing that thing, employment stood at 4,600 from 22,000. This time we're talking about is somewhere in the range of 2,000 plus. So what benefit is there? Because we lost everything. The resource envelope reduced from the mines because there was too much cheating. Before privatization, we were funding our development using our mineral wealth. This time, after privatization, when we expected to see improvement, nothing. So what kind of investors do we have? You bring a broke investor who is disadvantaged, and you even give them incentives that they don't even add value. Even these ones who have come, what are the benefits? The employment level is not going up. The resource envelope, what we are realizing from the mines is not going up. They even put an empty policy, increasing production. So after increasing, so what? So what? Production no mbanga yakwela. Pantokambi yali kwele. We are saying so we are not politicking. We are not politicking. We tested that policy. We never realized benefit like I've highlighted. So what we expected before undertaking a similar policy, we expected them to conduct a research which should have brought issues why we failed to benefit, highlight issues that should have been tackled. But in the absence of that research report, you go back to the same policy. It's politicking. It's politicking leader of opposition. So, to aware, echo ture komai report. Apa komai non. Nishepa ni ulema. Kula komai ni bale chula. Mama maini umwemu fuma 70% of forex. Eko ture amukwangala ture tuwale misala. Ni studi serious na governance. Can we be serious? Zambia is the mining sector. Zambia is the mining sector. Tell me to know we are diversifying the country from agriculture to mining. One bed in the hand is worth two in the bush. Tell me to same thing happening in Kofi. No, Toradeka Comingo de Fio Okuleta, Toradeta finished diesel. Where is the Comingo which was worth $300 million, which was in the pipeline at that time? Who funded the cleaning of the pipeline? What conditions have they given? Those are the issues. So, by contractor, all local contractors buying Zambians in Chito, indigenous Zambian, not Zambian, you know, citizen economic empowerment. Indigenous Zambians, Maranga Bafora, Bayam Kombon, Parashtam Tuntemba, Manfa, Lavashtam Tuntemba, Market, Timisalu, Balabam Tuntemba, Mamma Grocery, Bara again, Kuma Ulceras, those Ulceras are taxpayers. Bara again, they will pay tax, again, they will order more. But trying to figure out board the government will get so there is that trickle down effect. This time people are suffering, everyone is crying. There is no trickle down effect happening from the mines because abantu bale chulo basapla tabafora abasapla bali sebana na kwate mpia na bamkwatira ma beliefs bale sende mangana. Is that what you want? Somebody who has worked hard talefora ba belief bali sende mungana. But he has worked hard in Ndalamanako. Some of them, bank. Who suffers? That is delay. It's not contract. Is not suffering in that fashion. Why have we neglected our people? we have the UPND government has neglected the suppliers and the contractors through direct action and through legislation, like we demonstrated here. We don't want this corruption. They want to legislate by giving a blank check to the minister to decide what should be the threshold in terms of coal mining activities and non-coal mining activities, the jobs that are supposed to work to the people. Minister because this law by copy and paste now by worth exactly the way it was. By minister by state to instrument prescribed legislating corruption. To diminish for Zambians. But President Ukomuli, get back to the people yourself. Go and listen what is happening on the ground. Go and listen the suffering of the suppliers and the contractors on the copper belt. Go and see the mistreatment, the investors that you have brought to the copper belt, how they are mistreating people, how they are mistreating Zambia. Because that is Zambia, the mining, they are mistreating Zambia. Bakateka, go and see the kind of investors. Don't listen from written reports everywhere. Go yourself and listen, Bakateka. To a leader, a supplier, a contractor. Apata to a fumepo, we to change. Can you respond to this particular issue? Get down to the bottom of this issue. Don't listen from the office meeting, a written report. Your people are crying, your contractors are crying, your suppliers are crying. Leader of opposition, I think those are my comments on our local suppliers and mining contractors, including the workers who are about to be repressed now by Indians, because now later, all the workers in senior management, they will be repressed. I'm talking here, politics. I'll come back here. Because I can't be minister, we are going to create a vacuum where these people will see. We told him, he thought I was politicking. That is life and death. We can never politic on such issues. Thank you very much.
Mapavima na totela sana. Mapavima pamonga wa chairman wa mines muri nchilongani chesu cha batonzi in parliament. Mwariri la koba contractor na supply. Ayama funde bale fokuleta mu parliament lelo. Aya kuti number 1 report ya lilanga pa vutatutu. Bonse ba stakeholder batile ichilele ngobuchushi bakutila bashimayini ngabayisanga ba investor. Ubuteko bule yangu fiyanyo kubapela ama incentives ama tax release ya shala. Lelo nemili umbenga bomba kwa bena zamde pamunga ba contractor na ba supplier. Tabale bapele nchito. 1 inchito tashile moneka iyo. Bale isa na technology afi machine pa kuti apenga bomba bantu 200. Balichi machine chini. Yalama figure tumfu at 1 billion. Ngamwalolesha impact mula ndo kutwale wonfya technology sapawa impact yo. Number 2 mwapela ma incentives. So abantu kalefo chaleva kula copper belt monendola kitwe chingola. Abantu bale kumbwa abantu abena Zambia bali kwetu ama company ya Kalamba bale ingisha kwa abena Zambia banabo kubombako pamunga ba contractor. Nomba abene ba shmine wesa baba pela fionse mine wa pela free pamunga wa mopani no kuingisha fya abantu isto bale ingisha abantu inchito ba supplier tabale ingisha tabale pela ama contract ba supplier ba MP besu abe minini hapa ba dimine na amendments kutila ngatulefwa yokuti fintu fuwe wino bashimine abatule bapela okuti 40% ya ma contract yonse nisha nchito shida kuma Zambians tukamona okuti obunonshi bwaisa ku chalo chesu especially mkopa belt ba minister ba mines bambo kukana question to we push ngawa kosa poshani nishule kani na because if that investment is good for the Zambian people, why should the minister of mine ambo kula kana tawe tuichitefyo na babi kama ufufu ntungu muri bill okutila minister wa mine ewo kwetensa mbu ya kutila okay abena Zambia peniko 10% a business and wapeniko 15% inenshi papile yo if ile chitika what is already happening twali umfoka audio ukutipa kuwata contract ku mine ufilo kuba cleared by state house by state house ofile balanda ale peniko kafo ya contract yo ya 2 million o peniko pa vyuma contract. That is not supposed to be the case. Balaba investor
byatwale batwishiko kuti usibafumine kuisaba twatile nibuka bola baba UPND. They are doing a business within themselves. Nomba balefwaya if office fifume muli law. Twalilanda kali ati amafisa kanwanga corruption. Tekuka ushanya fienda lama kapokola mundama mukasote nefya shala. Amafisa kanwa talamba yashikila mu uteko yapita mu mapepa ngama fundengaya. Ifibalela ndokuti minister ukwate nsambu iya kulasuminisha business abantu bengaisa na mind. That's total corruption. That's criminality. The level of corruption and criminality in the UPND government is troubling, to the extent now that they've specialized in legislating corruption. They have introduced a very subjective clause in this geological and minerals development bill. The cry of the people on the Copper Belt is that the local suppliers, local contractors should be given enough business so that our benefit as Zambian people from employment, we get a further benefit from supplier contracts and so on. But what we have seen in the recent past, the contracts in the mines are only for the privileged few. As a matter of fact, there was an audio that leaked that to be able to get a contract at Mopani, you need clearance from State House. We are still asking these difficult questions. What's the relationship between Mopani and the State House? These statements were not coming from members of Tonse Alliance or the Patriotic Front. They were coming from members of the UPND, to a point that it has raised a lot of controversy on the Copper Belt. And because there is no freedom of speech, there is no freedom of expression here in Zambia, the suppliers who wanted to project their sentiments regarding that particular subject had to go and hide in the graveyard. Because they can't speak freely. But the point really is, if we are here to vehemently object to the amendments that the Mines Minister is bringing on the floor of the House, and specifically to do with the local content, we are speaking for the mine suppliers on the Copper Belt. Imewa supplier na contractor ni motulela ndilako lelo tuleti chishmwa chuli lefi. You voted for the UPND because the UPND vatile ama mwarale kokuchula twala mono kuti twaleta ba investor mwa mines mkesie mwa pani patu mkwate kwesha nchito ba contractor bale chula ba supplier bale chula bantu obai kala bwino abachindama bali bombesha lelo wale kala life ya msevanya umulandu wa kuti ndio fila ndileba ba chairman wa mines west hapa vyuma umuntu bali mkwatile ndalama ba beg for some class and the people wale wapoka mayanda losing things every day. So we want to stand with you. We are standing with the mine suppliers, the mine contractors. No kumuno kuti, we speak for you. The reason why tuminile pano kulanda, because in that parliament, if you landa ba pavyuma, ngatabalanje pono kulanda yo, he was just going to speak for 1 minute to tell. So we are here to speak so that one, the powers that be, they should we've got serious reservations regarding the amendments that are in this particular bill. And second, that President Daka in the Hichilem should live up to his promise. But President Daka in the Hichilem, we will not be mining in court. Where is KCM today? KCM is about to be grabbed by middlemen of Zesco. Does that really make sense? But Zesco was sent down malaiti, KCM, wapitamuni middleman. This middleman has accumulated so much money or so much debt with the mine that he even wants to grab the mine. This level of criminality under the UPND should be resisted by all. We are sick and tired. We are tired. It can't just be the same people day in, day out. Nidio courage way nimuka bora weka weka. Mwamfuati PPP nimuka bora weka weka. Mwamfuana washishamu pa nimuka bora weka weka. Nomba chini tuwale no kutimule fienga ma contractors na ma suppliers kuma mines. That is very, very unfortunate. What the UPND want to do, or what they've been doing, is legislating corruption. Honorable Kafuai was on the floor of the House regarding the securities bill. The securities bill.
Yes, it's a cyber security.
Not cyber security, the one that has enabled them to get Madison.
Oh, that's the securities
exchange bill. We said it on the floor of the House that this securities exchange bill is targeted at local companies.
Yes.
Local companies run by Zambians that have worked very hard for a very long time. And people thought that we were politicking on the floor of the House. We could actually see them from a distance. When the UPND party officials have an interest in a particular sector, they are going to bring a bill, they are going to bring amendments that will disadvantage that particular business and give them an advantage. Where is Madison today, as we speak? Madison Financial Services. Where are they today? Okay? So now that the UPND officials themselves are the ones who have taken over Mopani, Ida Mopani Abu Dhabi, forget it. It's for criminals within the UPND. It's for criminals within the UPND. That is the reason why, even to get a contract from Mopani, you have to get clearance from State House. What's the relationship? If the owners of Mopani were from indeed Abu Dhabi, somebody should have been complaining to say clearance have a contract from Abu Dhabi. It doesn't come from Abu Dhabi. It comes from State House. Why? Because the owners of Mopani are in State House. So we are saying the level of criminality in this government is troubling. It's troubling to the Zambian people, it's troubling to the miners, it's troubling to the contractors. So the essence of the discussion is that the bills that are being presented today, including the cyber security and cyber crimes bill, we want to discuss them here. Pantungatua Yamudia, the presiding officers will be the ones debating. They'll be the ones engaging members of parliament that are debating. That's the reason why we find a platform outside parliament, within the parliament building, to discuss these very pertinent issues. So the complaints that we have are that the UPND now have turned parliament into a crime scene where they bring bills to legislate criminal activities, including corruption. If you read the Geological and Minerals Development Bill, it's full of corruption. Why can't we put laws that are certain, laws that are clear? Why can't we simply say 40% of business from the mines will go to the locals? Why should we introduce a minister? I'm a minister. Please make sure that then Zambians should only get 5% of the business. I want to tell you, the Zambian people, there's over $5 billion worth of business in the mining sector through contracts and supplying. The question that you must ask yourself, how much of that business comes to the Zambian people? The 4 years that India has been in power, they have claimed that they've revived the mines. If they have revived the mines, the $5 billion projects in the mining sector would have changed the copper belt. They would have changed the copper belt. The copper belt is still wallowing in abject poverty. Why? One, because of corruption. Two, because of the non-transparent manner in which shares in these mines have been transferred. So we have to stand with you. We, as your representatives, want to stand with you to ensure that, one, we speak for you. We are your voices. And we are saying, let the Zambian miner be protected. Let the Zambian contractor be protected. Let the Zambian supplier be protected. And we want that protection to come in this law so that there is a threshold that is certain and that Zambians can sue upon in case the mines go below that particular threshold. So it's a concern that we have as members of parliament. Even as we go into parliament this afternoon, we want to be able to project those views that the criminality through these bills that the UPND would like to bring on the floor of the House is very troubling indeed for the Zambian people. Yeah, I'll just leave chance for honorable.
So maybe, like stated by the leader, this is not only full of corruption. It's also, these are rhetoric bills. Like I told you, there is careless use of words. Rather than said you want to achieve value addition. How do you achieve value addition? Economic diplomacy demands that we should be attracting foreign direct investment that should prospect and open new mines.
Cyber bills were back in the House yesterday. One of them passed the second reading. The other one is going to pass today, the second reading. I am a bills, but government bali be period of right state fair ati bali ya chinja yabo ena fe fia effort to land. So I want to tell you, by UPNG babu fi, by UPNG tabonfwa, by UPNG bali ba arrogant. And this is a problem that we have in our country. The UPNG, it does not want to account to the Zambian people. Let me now be more clear. These cyber laws you have seen are aimed at gagging the Zambian people. They are aimed at stopping the Zambian people from keeping UPNG to account. these bills, once passed by the House and assented to by the President, operationalized by the Minister, Zambian people will stop talking. And one of the things that you won't even be able to talk about is the content of the Constitution Amendment, because the cyberspace will be closed by the UPND government. Today, UPND government is very desperate in every area. Look, the people who are crying on the copper belt are people that we know to have been supporting UPND, people that we know even come to this assembly to come and clap for the president when he's saying things that never gets actualized. So when you see UPND cadres start crying, what about those who are non-UPND cadres? Those who are just ordinary,
with no phone numbers to State House.
With no phone numbers to State House. And it's very, very unfortunate that the State House gets mentioned in everything. Listen, a board chairperson at ZCCMI resigned.
Yes.
Now, that was more than a year ago. Yes. She resigned. Why did she resign? She said interference from State House. State House has failed to actually decline that accusation, right? A ZAMSA chief complained that to even give a contract to anyone to supply medicine, you have to have come. All the people have said no to constitutional amendments. Today we have a ministerial statement on the constitutional amendment program. So UPND is prepared not to listen to anyone. UPND is prepared not to take anyone's views except views that are going to promote the feather sticking of a person to the chair. And I can assure you that unless the Zambian people speak up louder, this UPND government arrogance is going to plunge this country into chaos. But for us, we don't want chaos. For us, what we want is this government to realize that the trajectory they are taking the country into is a bad one, and we need to change course so that this country can begin to benefit from the institutions that are created by them, even through the constitutional, provisions. The president law enforcement agencies at it's because the president knows that Mopani belongs to UPND thieves. It's because the president knows that the dual carriageway belongs to the deal on the dual carriageway belongs to the UPND thieves. It's because the president knows that there's an interference from State House on each and every contract. This is why PS Ngai pay a contract here 3 million $3 because PS State House.
But GBM is in prison.
But GBM is as you said, PS I pay a contract, I pay a company from health Bamtans. PS are involved in Mulika Bamtans. What about these big criminals who have given themselves mines, who have given themselves roads, who have given themselves all these money? You are in big problem. The Zambian people are now seeing through you, and it will be very difficult for you to cheat them again. Even if you close the cyberspace, Zambians already know that you are liars. You are just, there's nowhere you are going to cheat anymore. With the social media,
that is in the CEC Act, meaning that the people who benefit from this fund, small scale miners, are not indigenous Zambians. Right. So what we want them to do is they should say, for the purpose of this fund, indigenous Zambians, those who own small scale, they are the ones, management 100% indigenous Zambians. They are the ones who are supposed to benefit. That is what we want. Otherwise, the funds are to give them a leeway to fund the foreigners who have got these small scale or licenses. They are also bragging all over that they've given artisanal mining licenses. They are cancelling artisanal mining licenses that they've given licenses. 4 or 5 artisanal mining licenses at the Black Mountain in Mufulira. Minister, last month, made a statement that these licenses should be cancelled. So they're trying to cancel licenses that they've given to Zambians. So what kind of statements they are giving and again cancelling? You saw a statement from Mopani. They are claiming that they are the owners of the Black Mountain.
Yes.
No. All the investors who came at that time, they refused to pay for a dump site. They regarded them as liabilities. So instead, government paid them to rehabilitate them. That's why when you see the ownership of that Black Mountain previously the license was with the Blueston.
Yes.
After Blueston, it came to Jubilee. Jubilee, now it's those four they've given, the ones now they are trying to, government is trying to cancel and give back to Mopani. And why?
Because it's their mine.
Yes, because now
Because
it
it's their
confirms this allegation they are saying the Mopani belongs to them.
Yes.
Why cancel? The Zambians have got licenses. Those are indigenous Zambians who have got
foreigners.
yes,
It's-
these
it's
who have
a
got
right.
these licenses. So what kind of thinking? What kind of negligence? Why are they looking upon their people? Down their people. It's criminality. So let these licenses, let the people start working. They saved it. For the first time I saw leader of opposition. Last Friday, the owners of these artisanal mining licenses, they went to save a court order. Issued, written issues. This is what the court orders issued in the name of the president. Saved Mopani. They've disregarded that court order. It was saved last Friday.
The Patriotic Front is a party that is pro-poor. Our policies favor the poor. Our policies favor the Zambians. So we have seen that a number of Zambians are losing hope. Others are committing suicide. Others are going to depression. We want to say, just hang on. Just hang on. We only have a couple of months to go. When governments change, we're not saying if, when governments change, we'll revisit all these laws. We're going to revisit the sale of Mopani. We're going to revisit the KCM issue. We'll revisit the dual carriageway and many other questionable transactions under the UPND. This is just to encourage Zambians. Please do not lose hope. Just hang in there. You know, we'll do everything possible to going forward. What has happened under this government, the levels of corruption. Honorable Kafoya just made an observation. For the first time, when President Hakainde Hichilema was in opposition, he was very excited every time he received the FIC report. But for your own information, do you know that the highest figures reported under FIC during the PF time was only 2 billion kwacha? Under President Hakainde Hichilema's charge, the FIC report, you'll find $2 billion, $3 billion, 13.5 billion kwacha, 61 billion kwacha. Those are the figures. And what's President Hakainde Hichilema's reaction? Is to quickly go to SCC and DEC and warn them to say, stop announcing this. You are disturbing the investors. You should be speaking quietly. What does that mean? What does that mean? He was the one who was encouraging the name and shame. He came to the floor of the house and said, we will name you, we will shame you. What has happened? The 10 names of ministers at the SCC. Why isn't the president talking about it? There are 14, of course.
14 ministers.
14 ministers who are being investigated by SEC. One, there's been no suspension. He has not fired any of them. But Zambians are not stupid. Your Excellency, Zambians are not stupid.
We actually know them.
We know who they are. So we're watching you, even when you talk about corruption. When you talk about principles and values, we are watching you. So if you can entertain that level of corruption, the level of corruption that is going on right now, as we heard from one of your cadres, who is saying a simple contract at Mopani requires clearance at State House. A payment under Ministry of Health requires clearance at State House. A payment under the National Road Fund Agency requires clearance from State House. What morals or ethics or principles or values can you talk about if this is what is happening? And there's been no rebuttal. Nobody has come from State House to rebut what one of your cadres has said. Your own cadres now are only having meetings in the graveyard for fear of being arrested, for fear of being persecuted and bullied by their fellow cadres. What kind of a country do we have now? How did we get here? President Hakainde Hichilema, we've been talking about game changers. You call CDF a game changer. What a joke. What a joke. There's a young leader in West Africa who has embarrassed most of the African leaders today when talk about game changer. I personally do not agree. I don't agree. I believe in democracy. But look at what the gentleman is doing in Burkina Faso. He can call that a game changer. He's changing the game in the agricultural sector. He's changing games in infrastructure, game in mining, and all this. That is a game changer. Yes, we may not agree how we ascended to power, but we have a young leader there that is putting to shame those leaders who've been coming, those leaders who are puppets of imperialists. He did away with all that and he's been able to re-employ the resources from his country back to his people. And the lives of those people will never be the same again. So when we want to talk about game changer, let's think twice. CDF can be a game changer. People should be excited all over the country about 1 by 3 classroom blocks. Look at what the gentleman is doing in West Africa. If, as President Hakainde Hichilema said, that he feels like he's been in office for 10 years, I believe that Ibrahim Traore has a right to think he's been in office for 1,000 years with what he has done. If what President Hakainde Hichilema has done makes him feel that he's been in office for 10 years, Ibrahim Traore should feel like he's been in that office for 1,000 years, looking at the development that he has brought to that country. So let's be very careful. Zambians are now knowledgeable, Zambians are now educated, and we belong to a global village. You can imagine, comrades, that somebody in Burkina Faso is looking at Zambia on social media and seeing 1 by 3 classroom blocks in maternity wards, and we're calling them a game changer. They are comparing what is happening in their country. What do they think? What sort of people do they think we are today? So let's understand, Your Excellency, that we belong to a global village. People are able to compare what we are doing here at a global level. So let us understand what's happening in other countries before we go out there and speak about what we have achieved. What have we achieved in 10 years? In these 4 years that you've been in power, Your Excellency, what have you achieved? Your Vice President was asked a question on the floor of the House. The question was, give us 2 projects that we've done with the 5 billion that we've borrowed. Not a single project. Even this corrupt dual carriageway is under PPP, so to speak.
No, it's a Zambian people's money.
It's Zambian people's money. You know what? Just 2 projects that the EPND have done from the borrowing. So, how can the president say he feels like he's been in power for 10 years? For doing what? No, it's very disturbing. So I want to end with the issue of suppliers. Suppliers and contractors on the copper belt, we care for you. We care for you because you employ people, you uplift the living standards of the people on the copper belt and beyond. Our responsibility, our job as your members of parliament is to speak for you. We will fight on the floor of the House to ensure that, one, the minister should not be the one to prescribe the threshold under which the local suppliers should supply. We want a law that is certain. There should be a threshold set in that particular act of parliament. The many incentives we have given to the mines, we can't also allow them to be supplying goods and services to themselves. What is in it for Zambians? What is in it for Zambians? Comrade Finance Minister gives incentives very quickly and every day. From the time he got into office, hardly 30 days in office, he gave incentives. But he can't give incentives to the Zambian people. Who cares about these suppliers? Who is looking out for the interests of the Zambian people? We, in the Tonse, will look out for the interests of the Zambian people now and in the future. We'll do what we can now, and what we can't do now, we'll change the laws the moment we get into office to ensure that we are safe. So people on the copper belt, look out, don't despair. Nobody should get into depression. Nobody should commit suicide because of what they're going through. There's very little time left for the EPND in office. Definitely, they'll be voted out, and once they're voted out, we'll review all these questionable transactions, we'll review all the questionable laws that they're bringing. Even if they change the Cyber Security and the Cybercrime Act, we will revisit it. What country are we going to be? Our youth, Balefwaya, ngawatuma message kumunove. If in their view that message is false, they're spreading falsehoods. Kapokola, all he has to do is to go somewhere and say, therefore, record conversation, yama youth, landa, he will be given. There's no due process. There's no due process whatsoever. Record. So, what they're simply doing is that they're entering into your privacy. They're calling privacy completely. Now, our young people, the idea is to stop them from talking that. We are not surprised. They want to make sure they know that they're about to do what is called constitutional amendments. So that's president-driven constitutional amendments. And Zambians should not forget too soon. Go back to 2019. Go and listen to what President Hakainde Hichilema said against butane. What did President Hakainde Hichilema say against butane? What did the UPND say against butane? Look at the party they hosted at Community House against butane. What were the sentiments? They were saying all the clauses there are poisonous. What were the sentiments? All was meaningful as leader of opposition and the rest. And today he must come without shame to come and even defend certain things and even increase, come up with worse off clauses than they were before. The UPND can turn 360 degrees without even thinking about it. They've done that on the Constitution. They've done that on the cyber laws. They're doing that on everything. What kind of government do we have today? So countrymen and women, our message to you is a message of hope. Do not despair. We will stand with you in difficult times such as these, even in times when they'll be gagging you, when they'll stop you to speak because they've enacted these laws, we'll still stand with you. But most importantly, just remember that it's a matter of months. The UPND will be out of power, will be able to restore sanity in this country going forward. I thank you.